What's up guys, Dakota here, and as you can tell from the top of today's video, we're going to do a spec overview of my 2018 JL Rubicon. Just so you know, you can kind of get an idea of what you might want to have on yours, and I'll go over some things that maybe I wish that I had added on mine. You'll have to apologize for the day, it's kind of gloomy, and apologize for it being a little dirty. I do actually use it. So let's just go ahead and start off with the exterior. So the first thing we're going to start off, we're just going to go from the front. So as you can see, I have the regular bumper. I did not go for the steel bumper, and this is actually one thing that I would change. But the reason that I didn't get it is because all I thought at the time was that it just allowed you to take these end caps off. I didn't realize that also, if you can see, mine has this huge kind of air dam slash skid plate, whatever you want to call it. And I didn't realize that on the steel bumper, it's nowhere near this big. It's a bit more kept up, it gives you a little bit more clearance. And I also didn't realize that going off-road, how important being able to take those end caps off would be. So that is actually one thing that I would change about this, and I do actually plan on getting it just because for the added clearance and being able to take the end caps off. That way I can have more stuff instead of hitting the bumper, hit the tire. But that is one thing that I wish that I had gotten when I ordered this. All right, so the next thing is these headlights. This was a $995 option, and it's the LED option. And I feel like if you're gonna buy a JL, I feel like this is one of these must-haves. It makes it look so much better and more modern. I talked about this in my other video about the 5 things I love about my JL. So you get LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, LED fog lights, and then if we come around to the back, again, you have to excuse the mud. Like I said, I do use it. You get LED tail lights, the LED third brake light, and LED lights basically throughout the entire vehicle. And like I said, that was a $995 option that I feel like it's kind of a must, and I feel like it's pretty important. Now, real quick, while we're kind of outside the vehicle, I do want to go into why I personally spec'd a Rubicon and not like a Sport or a Sport S or anything like that. And it's because I did plan on using this as a off-road toy. So I wanted the most capable factory off-road option, and that happened to be the Rubicon, because you get the 33-inch tires, the locking front and rear diffs, the sway bar disconnect. You get the rock sliders as standard, and that's just one of the things that's one of the reasons why I got it, and because for me personally, I think it actually looks the best. Now, moving on to the next thing. As you can see, I have the body color fenders. This was a $395 option, so I felt like there was no point to not get them. And I just feel like it makes the Jeep look a little bit more cohesive. And speaking of body color, sticking with that theme, I also went for the $2195 option of the body color hardtop, just again because it just makes the whole Jeep a little bit more cohesive. And I think it just, especially in this kind of darker color, makes it look really really nice. Maybe in some of the brighter colors, it's, you know, you can have some black in there to make it a little more you know, separated out a little bit, have some more contrast. Now, while we're on the back here, we can talk about 2 things. So the wheels, I went with the standard wheels that come with the Rubicon. I didn't opt for the, I believe they're like $895, the other wheels. Although I think they look better, I didn't feel like getting them because I know eventually I'm going to change these, so I didn't feel like spending the money on those when I know eventually these are going to change. And now, also at the back is the trailer tow group, which is $795. Gives you the class 2 receiver, so it can tow 2,000 pounds, which is nothing really to write home about. And you get your 7-pin connector as well as your 4-pin connector. You also with that get a 200, I believe it's 240 alternator, and then a 700 amp battery. So that's one of the other things you get, as well as the auxiliary gauges, which are on the inside. Now, to continue with the theme of things that I didn't get, we'll talk about two things basically that are right here by the door handle and in the mirror, so I did not get the blind spot monitoring system. For me personally, I just didn't get it. It wasn't that big of an issue to me. If it had it, great. If not, it's not really that big of a deal. One thing that I did want to get, but I actually forgot when I ordered it, there's a bird, is the keyless entry, just because it just makes it a little bit easier. It doesn't make me hate the car, but it is something that I wish I'd got just because of ease of access, you know, having my keys in my backpack when I go to the gym and just being able to walk up, press the button, and get into the vehicle. That's one thing that I wish I didn't get, especially because it's like a $400 option, like, so it wouldn't have been that big of a deal if I didn't get it. Now, one of the other things that I didn't get are the parking sensors. And the reason that I didn't really care about that is because of this guy right here, the backup camera. Just because I feel like the parking sensors with the backup camera is it's nice to have, but it's not something that's necessary. So that's why I didn't get those things. Now we'll move on to the interior. All right, and now as far as the interior goes, I didn't pick a whole lot of options. On the interior, we'll start with the main thing right away. So this is the 8.4-inch screen. That is an option when you pick the, I believe it's called the Electronic Infotainment System Group. And what that gives you is the larger screen, the 8.4-inch screen. Plus it gives you navigation standard. You get the Alpine Premium audio system, which is actually really good, like insanely good. You get a auto-dimming rear view mirror with that, as well as the emergency assistance and call right up here. You get HD radio, a year of Sirius XM, and all that good stuff. And that's really, as far as the inside, the only option I got. Now with the trailer tow group, you do get the auxiliary gauges, which do absolutely nothing at the moment because I don't have anything hooked up to them. So the rest of this stuff is all standard in the Rubicon. So everything you see here is standard no matter what options you pick. Here's the front and rear locking diff. Turn it off, the sway bar disconnect, and as you can see I have a manual, and the reason I opt for that is simply because I just enjoy a little bit more of an engaging driving experience as opposed to an automatic, and since I'm used to driving a manual, I didn't feel an automatic was worth $2,000, so that's why I didn't get that. And then the only other things that I didn't get on the interior are leather seats. So these are the cloth seats that on the Rubicon you get the red embroidery and the red stitching here. Now the stitching doesn't go all the way around, as you can see here. It doesn't go all the way around the seat. It's just kind of red accent stitching, plus the Rubicon embroidery there. And also the main thing, while we're talking about red, is you do get the red dash. Now the only way on a Rubicon to not get this red dash is if you get tan leather seats. If you get tan leather seats, this will be more of a metallic gray or silver. Other than that, it's going to be that color red, which I personally think looks pretty cool. One neat little thing that I do want to point out is how many ports of connection, I guess if you want to call them, you have. So up at the front you've got a USB-C, a regular USB, auxiliary input, and then in here you've got a USB port. And then I'll hop in the back and show you what else this thing has. So now that we're in the back, something that is pretty cool is that even on the two-door you do actually get rear air vents, which is pretty cool. And then in the back you actually get 2 more USB-C ports plus 2 more regular USB ports. Now these 2 can actually be used to play music or things up to the front. These 2 are just for charging, and then you have your wall outlet down here. But I think it's pretty cool that on the two-door Jeep it has more ports and things in the back than the brand new 2019 like Silverado, something that is made for like a family vehicle, yet a two-door Jeep has more connections. I think that's kind of funny. But again, so you do have a bunch of connections back here, as well as a wall outlet and rear air. And speaking of being in the back, my driver's seat is in a comfortable position for me, and I'm about 5'8", 5'9", and I have plenty of space in the back, and it's pretty nice to have a two-door Jeep that is actually, you can sit here and not be all hunched up, which is something that in the Camaro that I had, totally the opposite. All right, guys. So real quick, before I end this, I just kind of want to give a brief overview of this screen right here, just because I feel like not a lot of people have gone over this. So obviously this is your Apple CarPlay setting. So we're gonna go over to the apps. So if I go into the apps, you get all these things: Wi-Fi hotspot, assist, all these different things that you can use and click into. Now, one of the cool things is this, the off-road pages. So this is actually kind of fun to use. There's nothing really like crazy going on in this screen once it loads. You can see the little Jeep drives across the screen there. But in here you've got your pitch, your roll angle, it'll tell you your altitude, and then it'll tell you for high. You can pull up the drivetrain, so it'll tell you what your transfer case is in. Currently I'm in 4 high. It'll tell you if the rear axle is locked, and it's currently unlocked, if the sway bar is connected or disconnected. Same thing for the front axle, your steering angle. So if I start to turn the wheel, it'll show you your different steering angles. So that's something that's kind of cool. And then if you like to keep an eye on your temps and all that good stuff, it will also show that here. It's just kind of a fun thing to use when you're out on the trail, just to make sure everything's okay, or to see what kind of pitch and roll you can get, which is pretty fun. And if we exit out of here, again, you've got your Apple CarPlay settings, your media, your climate control. If we go into that, it comes standard, the Rubicon with dual zone climate control, and automatic climate control, all that good stuff, your different zones. And what's also really cool is this, I don't know if you guys can see, but this background here, you can actually change. So you can go in and change the background here. I believe if we go to settings, the display, you can set a theme. And there's a bunch of different themes. I mean, there's pages and pages of themes that you can go to kind of change how this looks, which I think is pretty cool. But anyways, guys, that's kind of a spec overview of my Rubicon. If you have any questions, if you're thinking about buying one, or you're thinking about ordering one, and you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below and ask me, because it took me a while to figure out exactly what I wanted, but I ended up being pretty happy with how I spec'd it, with the exception of wishing I'd got the steel bumper. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you guys out, and if you did, make sure to like it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.